Brahma-jyoti is spiritual and Mahatattva is material. Right? So Brahma-jyoti, though spiritual, is not our final destination. So let's take this further. So we'll read the verse again, and then we'll continue our discussion. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Namaste Svarashibhaya Sattvatam Vidurakashathaya Muhuko Yoginam Nirasta Samye Chayena Radhasa Svadhamani Brahmani Ramasyate Namaha. Nama Namate. Let me offer my obeisances unto you, us two are Shabhaya, unto the great associate, Sattvatam, of the members of the Yadu dynasty. Vidura Kashatya, one who is far from mundane wranglers, Muhu, always, Ku Yoginam, of the non-devotees. Nirastya, vanquished, Samya, equal status, Ati Sayena, by greatness, Radhasa, by opulence, Svadhamani, in his own abode, Brahmani, in the spiritual sky, Ramasyate, enjoys, Namaha, I do, bow down. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto he who is associate of the members of the Yadu dynasty and who is always a problem for non-devotees. He is the supreme enjoyer of both the material and spiritual worlds, yet he enjoys his own abode in the spiritual sky. There is no one equal to him because his transcendental opulence is immeasurable. Purport. Would anyone like to read the purport? We'll continue from the second paragraph where it says in the spiritual sky. So
I can read, Prabhuji.
Sure. Thank you, Mataji. Dilima Mataji, can you take it down, or Vinod Prabhu is controlling the screen?
In the spiritual sky, his opulence is immeasurable. Should I start? Yeah, okay. In
Yes,
the
please
spiritual
continue.
sky, his opulence is immeasurable. The Lord resides in all spiritual planets, the innumerable Vaikuṇṭha planets, by expanding his plenary portions along with his liberated devotee associates. But the impersonalists who want to merge in the existence of the Lord are allowed to merge as one of the spiritual sparks of the Brahma-jyoti. They have no qualifications for becoming associates of the Lord either in the Vaikuṇṭha planets or in the supreme planet Goloka Vrindavana, described in the Bhagavad-gītā as Madhāma and here in this verse as svadhāma of the Lord. The Madhāma or svadhāma is described in Bhagavad-gītā 15.6 as follows. Na tad bhasyate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. The Lord Svadhāma does not require any sunlight or moonlight or electricity for illumination. That Dhamma or place is supreme, and whoever goes there never comes back to this material world. The Vaikuṇṭha planets and the Goloka Vrindavana planets are all self-illuminating, and the rays scattered by those Svadhāma of the Lord constitute the existence of the Brahma-jyoti. As further confirmed in Vedas like Mukunda 2.2.0, Katha 2.2.15, and Shweta Vattara Upanishads 6.14. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema buddhyoti bhanti kutoyam agni tam eva bhanatam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. In the Swadhama of the Lord, there is no need of sun, moon or stars for illumination, nor is there need of electricity. So what to speak of ignited lamps? On the other hand, it is because those planets are self-illuminating that all effulgence has become possible, and whatever there is that is dazzling is due to the reflection of that svadhāma. One who is dazzled by the effulgence of impersonal Brahma-jyoti cannot know the personal transcendence. Therefore, in the Upanishad 15, it is prayed that Lord shift his dazzling effulgence so that devotee can see the reality. It is thus spoken, Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukhum tattvam pushanan apurvarnu satyadharmaya drishtaye. O Lord, you are the maintainer of everything, both material and spiritual, and everything flourishes by your mercy. Your devotional service or bhakti yoga is the actual principle of religion, Satya Dharma, and I am engaged in that service. So kindly protect me by showing your real face. Please therefore remove the veil of your Brahma-jyoti rays so that I can see your form of eternal bliss and knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Panchakalpatarubhascha Kripasindhubhayeva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaurabhakta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, we are discussing the verse number 14, and we're discussing the last point, which is, there are 4 points that came out from this verse, and the last point is that Krishna's transcendental opulence is immeasurable. So we're discussing the second part of this verse, and there are 2 themes that come about in this. One is the description of the planet, of how Krishna's opulence is immeasurable, and Vaikuṇṭha planets are being described. Bhagavad-gītā 15.6 is being described, Tad Bhāsyate Suryo. And then we've also, in the second part, describes more in detail about the people who are dazzled by the impersonal Brahma-jyoti, and how bhakti is still the strongest. So we'll try and discuss this and try and unpack this in the best possible way I can. So as mentioned, Krishna's abode has been described, that in Krishna's abode, there is no necessity of any sunlight, moonlight, electricity, or as it said, or lamp. So Prabhupada says that we cannot find any such abode in this universe, right? There is nothing in this, because this is matter. This is not spiritual nature, right? In spiritual nature, everything is self-effulgent, as it says in the verse. The material nature, we're still trying to find out. We're still trying to figure out. So how can we know the spiritual nature? Prabhupada makes this point. Because when we are trying to see what is beyond this material world, we are just trying to speculate. We can only know if we can go to the right source. Otherwise, our senses are imperfect. We cannot perceive, right? So that's why we have to hear right from the source. Prabhupada always gives the example of, if you want to know your father, you have to hear from your mother. That is the right source. If your mother certifies that he's your father, then you know that he's your father. Because otherwise it's beyond our means. Yes, there is DNA testing and all of those things, but if your mother doesn't guide you where to look, you wouldn't know. You're not going to test, say, 3.5 billion males to see who your father is, right? So in the same way, if you want to know about a topic that our senses cannot perceive, which is a spiritual sky, we need the spiritual planets, we need to go to the right source. We need to go to the right authority. And that is Krishna, because Krishna resides in those, in the spiritual planets. So he is the right authority. He's the right source. Yeah, there is no question of experimenting. We simply needs to hear. And Prabhupada makes this point very, very emphatically, and he makes it very, very clear. So he says that hearing means that we have to believe in some person based on the authority of the mother. In this case, the mother is the Vedic literature. Veda Mata. Veda is knowledge and Mata is obviously mother. So here Krishna is personally explaining everything that there is of possibility and that there is of no possibility. So there is no cause for any mental concoction. Otherwise, if we do that, we will fail. So the example is given of a diamond. So in this material world, we see, as we described, that there's nothing that is self-illuminating. We need the sun, right? But that's not the case in the spiritual world. But we can see glimpses of that in the spiritual world. The analogy is drawn of a diamond. And diamond doesn't need any illumination as such. It is self-illuminating, so to speak, right? So we can see these things. So these things do exist, if you're not believing. So in that way, Krishna's planet is also self-illuminating. So as long as we believe or live in this dark material nature, in this conditioned life, we are just seeing the perverted nature of the spiritual world. Right? We cannot go back to the spiritual world if we are just believing and we always stay in this material world. Right? Because in this conditioned life, the living entity considers himself or ourselves to be the lord of this material world. But in the liberated state, we enter into the spiritual kingdom of Krishna and become his associate, right? From lording this material world to being an associate, right? So Prabhupada says that we should be captivated by this information. Why? Because he said we should desire to transfer ourselves to become Krishna's associate and just completely remove ourselves from this false reflection of reality that we are in. Because for now, we are too much attached to this material world and we need to cut this attachment. And the only way to cut this attachment and only way to be detached is hearing from the authority, hearing from the source. Yes, we need to associate with devotees. We should reach out to dedicated people who are dedicated devotees, who have dedicated their life to Krishna consciousness. Right? Then Prabhupada also mentions in the purport about a verse from Sri Ishopanishad, Hiranyamayana patrena satyasya apihatam mukham tattvam pushan apavrinu satya dharmaya drishyate. So here it is said that the supreme predominant deity is Sri Krishna in this spiritual world. And this is just one of the universes in this material world, because there are millions and millions of such universes, right? So the Brahma-jyoti, covers hundreds and thousands of these universes. And within these universes, there are hundreds and thousands of planets. So similarly, in the spiritual sky, there are also hundreds and thousands of unlimited Vaikuṇṭha planets. And each Vaikuṇṭha planet is predominated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada said that all these Vaikuṇṭha planets, they are predominated by Narayana. And each Narayana has got a different name, Pradyumna, Indradumna, Sankarshana, and so on. So these planets are covered by the Brahma-jyoti effulgence. So this verse that Prabhupada mentions, Hiranyamayana patrena, satyasya apihatam. So apihatam, the direct meaning is covered, that which is covering. So just like the example is given of the sun, we've heard this multiple times. When you see the sun, we cannot actually see the sun itself. We can see the sunlight that is coming through, right? So the effulgence is coming from the sun and we are dazzled by it. But if you want to go further, than just looking at the effulgence or the Brahma-jyoti, the parallel is drawn, then we need to know the absolute truth, Sri Krishna, which is the planet sun itself. So how do we know that? So that's why this verse is very significant, where it says we need to pray that nothing moves without Krishna's mercy. So we say, Krishna, please kindly move this covering, wind it out of my way, so I can really see you, so we can really see beyond this Brahma-jyoti. Prabhupada also mentions in the purport that Mayavadi philosophers, they do not know what is beyond Brahma-jyoti, if there is anything. Yeah. They just see the golden effulgence. And that's why Prabhupada mentioned this verse, Hiranyamayi Patrena. Because this is covering the real face of Lord. So we need to pray that, oh Krishna, you are the sustainer, you are the maintainer. Please uncover this. Please take away this covering so we can actually see you. We can see your face. Because the idea that the Vaikuṇṭha planets, the idea about the Vaikuṇṭha planets is that we need to go beyond the effulgence, and those who are devotees, only them are permitted to enter, not the Mayavadis. As Prabhupada mentions in the purport again, that the people, that impersonalists, they cannot know the personal transcendence of Krishna. Right? So those who are jnanis are offered, those who only focus on the Brahma-jyoti, they are offered this place in the, who are simply jnanis, they are offered this place in the Brahma-jyoti. Right? So it is said that the demons who were killed by Krishna and the jnanis, they are both offered the same space. So just imagine someone who completely despises Krishna, who is against Krishna, they are offered the same place as someone who is focusing on the Brahma-jyoti. Prabodhananda Saraswati, he coined this term called Kaivalyam Narakyate. That means the Brahmal effulgence for devotees is like hell. Right? The jnanis are trying to merge into Brahman effulgence, but for the devotees, it is Kaivalyam Narakyate, which is, it is hell. So the yogis who are trying to control their senses, they are considered venomous serpents, like our senses are considered that venomous serpents. So Srila Prabhupada gives a nice analogy to this effect. He said that devotees, we are not afraid of the senses because we have extricated them, the poisonous teeth of these senses. These all our senses are poisonous teeth, but just by associating with devotees, just by practicing Krishna consciousness in its purest form, we are not afraid of these senses. Right? I was thinking about this, and recently we went for the schoolies Harinam in December, and even on New Year's Eve 2 days ago, we all went for Harinam. You see these places; they are full of people who are drunk, people who are dressed inappropriately. The mode of ignorance is at its full glory. But because we are in a protected environment, because we are practicing Krishna consciousness, these poisonous teeth, these venomous teeth, they don't affect us of our senses. We are not, because you see people, especially schoolies, parents, my kids are growing up also, parents are afraid of sending their kids to these environments. Right? But us, when we are there, we do not need to fear anything. We are there in His full glory. So devotees' place is the highest because we can understand our devotion through God, right? And that is mentioned in Bhagavad-gītā. Prabhupada also mentions this in 18.55. Bhakti Amam Abhijanati Yavan Yaschasmi Tatvata. Prabhupada doesn't say, or Krishna doesn't say, that you can understand me by karma, or he doesn't say that just by the jnana yoga you can understand me. He does not say just perform yoga and you'll understand me, because he clearly says that simply by devotional service, bhakti amam abhijanati, by bhakti, you can understand me as I am, and that is what is called bhakti. So except devotional service, there is no possibility for us to understand the absolute truth. Any other processes means that it is covered by the Brahma-jyoti. That is what Prabhupada is trying to teach us with this purport. That any other process, only Bhakti Yoga you can understand. Every other process is just covered, as he gives the example of Hiranyamayi Patrena. in this verse. So just like that, we try to understand the sun planet. We can see the sun planet, and that's a fact. But that does not mean we know what is actually behind the sun planet, because we have no approach. We cannot speculate. Speculation means a blind leading the blind. The famous story of there's these 6 blind men who are trying to describe this elephant just by feeling him. They're feeling different parts of the body. Some say they touch their leg and elephant's leg, and they say he's like a pillar. This is like a pillar. Some touch his ears and say it's like a big fan. Some touch the tail and say it's like a big rope or something like that, right? So, and so on, we can go on and on with that. So everyone tries to describe that, but only when someone, and everyone is right, but only when someone has a vision, someone who can see the elephant can say, you're all right, but you don't have a full picture. So in the same way, we're all trying to speculate. All these modern philosophers, all the Gyanis, they're all trying to speculate what the elephant is like. And they're touching different aspects of the elephant and trying to establish what the elephant is look like. But you can see, whilst there is some truth to it, they're all falling short. They can't see the full picture. And to get this vision, to see the whole elephant, it can only be seen through Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tattvatat, only through devotional service. Right? So in that way, we are praying. Again, Sri Krishna Upanishad, it mentioned, Pushan apar vanu, please uncover. We need to pray to Krishna sincerely, that please uncover, then only then can I see you. And this seeing power is given to a bhakta, to a devotee, Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu abhijanati. So devotion is the only way to understand God. And we can enhance this understanding by doing service. And this love that we have, that we're developing or we're trying to develop, can only be increased by doing more and more service. Otherwise, there is no possibility. In the Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu, it said, Sevan mukehi jivavado. That the more you increase your service spirit, the more you increase your love for, your dormant love for God, for Krishna. And as soon as we are in the perfectional stage of love of God, we will see God in every moment, 24 hours a day. That's what is confirmed in the Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu. So Śrīla Prabhupada gives these examples, and he does such a nice analogy of comparison between Brahma-jyoti and seeing the sun planets itself, or seeing the planets itself, seeing Krishna himself. Right? So you can see it's covered, and that is what is happening to us every day as well. Right? We can give examples with social media also, like some of you guys or some of us. I also do some scrolling. We also sort of space out sometimes, and we just get attracted to it. We see people's perfect lives. We see people are successful. We see they're happy. They've got the best family. They've got the best car. They've got the best house. They've got the best holiday. Everything looks shiny. Everything looks perfect, right? They've got perfect bodies. They're flaunting that and so on. We get attracted by it. I want this, and I would love to have this. But you can see reality can be very, very different behind all of this. A lot of stories have come out that there is so much loneliness, there is so much anxiety, there is so much, so many things behind what we see. Growing up, I used to be really attracted when I was in uni. I used to be really be dazzled, because Prabhupada used the word dazzled by effulgence. I used to be dazzled by Steve Jobs, who founded Apple. I was like, what a guy. Whilst he's made a contribution to society in one way, shape or form, we can see that he died at a very young age. He was lonely. He had a broken relationship. From what I know about, limited I know about him, he didn't have the best of relationships with people. A lot of people hated him because he was not very nice to people. So you can see that, yes, whilst there's There is these shiny things that we get attracted to. And yes, whilst there is some truth to it, but it's not the entire truth. Yes, as I gave the examples of Steve Jobs. Yes, he made a good contribution when I'm on a Mac, something that he sort of helped develop. But you can see there is something that he's contributed to, but it is not the real deal. Definitely not the real deal. Yeah. So Prabhupada also, to draw the parallel, is explaining the Brahma-jyoti in that way. It's spiritual, it's dazzling, but it's not real. It's not the full reality. So this has been my experience of Krishna consciousness as well, that it's just not dry. We cannot be attracted to these shiny things. We need to invest our heart into it. The pain we go through while we are trying to realize Krishna is not accidental. It is just our training, because Krishna is the real substance. So we need to go to the source. We need to learn from authority, as we gave the example of that if you want to know your father, only your mother can. Like that, we need to hear from the source. We need to hear from what the reality is. And that is only through the process of Krishna consciousness. And that is only through the process of bhakti. So that is what I wanted to share on the remaining part of this purport. There's a couple of minutes before 7. We need to recite the Śukadeva Gosvāmī prayers as well. But if there are any questions, comments, or corrections, please let me know. We can discuss that, and we can go on to reciting the prayers. Hare Krishna. Okay. Looks like there's no question. So, okay.
Prabhuji, there's a question in the chat.
Okay. Let me see. Can someone read it out? I can't seem to see it.
Yeah, I can read it for you, Prabhuji.
Okay,
So this is coming from Ajay Sharma. He says, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my question is, if insects are attacking a cow and causing harm to her, and the only way to save the cow is by using chemicals that will kill those insects, when either the insects or the cow will die, what should we do in such a situation?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for your question. So there can be ways to, I think I'm not an expert with this subject matter, but yes, it's I get the essence is what Prabhu is trying to ask is the question of who do we protect, one or the other, right? But I'm sure there is ways. I mean, there's so many gaushalas, there's so many cow protection drives that are going on across the world. So I'm sure there are ways to make sure there is minimal loss of any lives, if any. But in this case, there is always, if there is a question of who do we protect, obviously always look at the higher principle. The ideal scenario is we try and protect both wherever we can. But there are experts in this field who we can speak to, and they will be able to decide what's the best way in terms of to protect both, right? So that's my take on this. But if anyone else wants to add anything, you can please do that also. Okay, we'll go on to the prayers. Would anyone like to recite the prayers?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I can.
Okay, Mataji, please go ahead.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Shuka Uvacha. नमः परस्मै पुरुषाय भूयसे तद्भुद्भवस्थाननिरोधलीलया गृहीतशक्ति त्रितयाय देहिनाम् अन्तर्भवायानुपलक्ष्य वर्त्मने भूयो नमः सद्वृजिनाच्छिदे सताम् असम्भवाय किल सत्त्वमूर्तये पुंसां पुनः पारमहंस्याश्रमे व्यवस्थितानामनुमेक्य दाशुषे नमो नमस्तस्तु वृषभाय सात्वतां विदूरकष्ठाय मुहुर्योगिनां निरस्तसाम्यातिशयेन राधसा स्वधामनि ब्रह्मणि रंस्यते नमः यत्कीर्तनं यत्स्मरणं यदीक्षणं यद्वन्दनं यच्छ्रवणं यदर्हणं लोकस्य सद्यो विधुनोति कल्मषं तस्मै सुभद्राशवसे नमो नमः विचक्षणाय चरणोपसादनात् सङ्गं व्युदस्यो भयतोऽन्तरात्मना विन्दन्ति हि ब्रह्म गतिं गताक्रमास् तस्मै सुभद्राशवसे नमो नमः तपस्विनो दानपरायशस्विनो मनस्विनो मन्त्रविदा सुमङ्गला क्षेमं न विन्दन्ति विना यदर्पणम् तस्मै सुभद्राशवसे नमो नमः किरातहूनान्द्रपुलिन्दपुल्कषा आभीरशुम्भायवनाश सादया येन्ये च पापा यदपाश्रयाश्रया शुध्यन्ति तस्मै प्रभविष्णवे नमः स एष आत्मामवतामधीश्वरस्त्रयीमयो धर्ममयस्तपोमया गताव्यलीके रजशङ्करादिभिः वितर्क्यलिङ्गो भगवान् प्रसीदताम् प्रियापते यज्ञपते प्रजापते धियां पते लोकपते धरापते पते गतिश्चान्धकवृष्णिसात्वतां प्रसीदतां मे भगवान् सतां पते यदङ्घ्र्यभिध्यान समाधिधौतया धियानुपश्यन्ति हि तत्त्वमात्मना वदन्ति चैतत्कवयो यथा रुचं स मे मुकुन्दो भगवान् प्रसीदताम् प्रचोदितायेन पुरा सरस्वती वितन्वताजस्य सतीं स्मृतिं हृदि स्वलोक्षणा प्रादुरभूत् किलास्यता समे ऋषीणां ऋषभा प्रसीदताम् भूतेर्महद्भिर्यहिमा पुरो विभु निर्मायशेते यदमुषु पूरुषा भुङ्क्ते गुणांशोषदशोषा भुङ्क्ते गुणांशोषधो भूते महत्ते यमिमां पुरो विभु निर्मायशेते यदमुषु पुरुषा भुङ्क्ते गुणांशोषधशोत्मषात्मका सोऽलङ्कृशिष्टा भगवान् वचांसि मे नमस्तस्मै भगवते वासुदेवाय वेधसे बभूज्ञानमयं सौम्या यन्मुखां पुरुहासवम् हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji, for reciting them prayers so nicely. Hare Krishna, thank you everyone for joining once again. We will see you all tomorrow, Krishna willing. Have a peaceful day. We'll have a program tonight at the Hare Krishna Temple, Burbank. So we look forward to seeing you all there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Srīmad
Krishna.
Srīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu.